Hi everyone, and welcome back to another one of my ukulele lessons, and they're going to be lasting about 10 minutes. Now the last one I did was all about the diminished chord, and thank you so much for all the kind feedback on that lesson. Today we're going to be looking at a completely different topic, and it's all about how to transpose. Now before we go any further, there was a link to this workshop with a sheet that you need to print off. If you haven't printed that off, go and do that now. Okay, let's presume that you've done it and you've got the sheet in front of you. Before we look at the sheet in any detail, let's have a little sort of background on transposing and its uses. Now, one of the uses is for, say, a songwriter and performer who wants to kind of do a ballad sort of piece, and they want to have some sort of build. So they kind of start the first verse and chorus in one key, then they'll change the key, go up a gear if you like, to give it a little bit more momentum, yeah? And then it may, if it's a real power ballad, it might go up a second time, so therefore 3 different keys are in the same piece. Now, one of the singers that comes to mind on that is Barry Manilow. And if you have a listen at some point to I Write the Songs, I think it changes key 5 times. But when it gets to that final note on the end, you'll see why he actually did it. Now, thankfully, we're not going to be singing any Barry Manilow today, but that was just one illustration of why we need to transpose. The second one is because we all have different voices. When I say we, I'm referring to the male voice and the female voice. Now, without getting too complicated, you can also have different ranges within those sexes. So for the male voice, you could have a bass, you could have a tenor, you could have a silver tenor. With a female voice, you could have a sort of descant, sort of soprano, all sorts of different ranges within the female voice as well. Now, the problem comes if a song was written for one type of voice, and then a person with a different register of voice wants to sing that song in the original key. Now, it can't be done because what will happen is one of 2 things. Either it'll be too low right down there, or it'll be right up there because it's just not made for that person's range of voice. The notes just do not fit. So what would need to happen if they really want to sing that song is the key needs to be adjusted to fit that range, and that is what we're going to do today. So in front of you, you should have a sheet, and if you look in the left hand side, it says original key. On the right hand side, it says new key. So what I need you to do, you'll notice there's a center line down there with a red mark on it. I need you to very carefully with a pair of scissors cut down that line. Now don't cut your fingers off because you're going to need those in a minute. All right, so take a short break while you cut that paper in half and join me after the break. Take a break. Yeah. Right, so you're back. So hopefully you've got all your fingers intact because we are going to need those in a bit. So what I want you to do then is have the original key on the left-hand side, the new key on the right-hand side, and just move them, say, 3 or 4 inches apart for now. Okay, right, this is what we're going to do. Now, if you had a song in the key of C, let's keep it easy to start with, okay? Now, typically, in the key of C, you might find chords such as C itself. There could be a C7, there could be an F, there could be a G7. And what I've done is I'm just going to make up a song, yeah? Just for the fun of it, okay? And this is just a bunch of chords which we are then going to move into another key in a minute. But first of all, you don't need to write these down, but I'm just going to play the sequence for you. So here we go. So I've got as my first chord, C. And then I've got A minor. Then I've got F. Then I've got C again. F again. C again. Then D7, and then G7. Okay, so those are typical chords you would find in the key of C. Now what we're going to do is transpose from the key of C to the key of G. So what I want you to do is with the new key on the right hand side, I want you to level up where it says G which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th one down, and put that completely opposite where it says C. Now, if you're not sure, have a look at the diagram on the screen, and you should have your setup like that. So now on the left-hand side, you've got the C, and directly opposite the C, you've now got G. Now, this will make it a piece of cake, believe me, okay? So our first chord in the sequence was C. So we look to our right, and opposite the C is the G, as we've already said. Okay. Our next chord in the sequence was A minor. So I'm now going to move down on the left-hand side on the original key to where it says A, and opposite the A it says E. Okay. So now that's going to be there. Okay. You're getting where I'm saying? It's really clever how this works. The only rule is you've got to remember is if on the left-hand side you've got an extension such as a 7th, A 7th, D 7th, G 7th, or a minor, A minor, B minor, C minor, that minor obviously has to carry on when you talk about the key that it's going to be transposed to. Okay, so the next one in the sequence was F. That was the original key. So let's go down on the original key to where we find F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6th one down. And opposite the F is C. Okay, you're getting this now, aren't you? Okay, so let's go a bit quicker then. So then it does C again, which we've done. F again, C again, we've done. Then D7. So let's move to D7. We need to find a D, which is the 3rd one down on the original key. And that becomes A7 in the new key. Okay, and then finally we got G7. So let's find the G on the left hand side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8th one down. Opposite the G we've got D. So if it's G7 it has to be D7. Okay, so this is where the fun starts. So I'm going to now play it in the original key, and then I'm going to play it in the transposed key using what we've just done. Okay, we ready? So this is the original key. Okay, so now in the new key, it's going to sound like this. Here we go, starting with the G. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's the same chord sequence but in another key, and all we had to do was match up the left one with the right one to have the original key and the new key. Should we do another? Go on then. Let's keep the same sort of set of chords. You don't need to play these. This is just an illustration. So now I'm going to move it to the key of F. So we need to have on the left hand side, we're going to keep that where it is, and we're going to match up, instead of the G, we're going to match the F alongside the C. If you're not sure how to do that, have a look at this diagram now. So the F now is opposite the C. So our first chord in the sequence being C is now F. The next one in the sequence was A minor. Let's see where the A is. So let's work our way down the original key, see where the A is, and that becomes D, because D is opposite. So that becomes D minor. And then B flat. What's the next one? F is next, F is next. And F on one side becomes B flat on the right hand side. Okay, so you get the idea. So I'm now going to play the original key and the second key and the third key. Now, instead of playing 4 on each, I'm just going to do 2. All right, so original key. Then we transposed it to G, so now we got. Now we only half did the next one, but you get the idea. I don't need to do all of it. So now in F, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so I've just made up a chord set. That's all I've done. There's no particular song at all. So if you have a song in the key of C, whatever it is, write all the chords down, yeah? Have on the left-hand side the original key, and on the right-hand side have the new key. Well, what happens if the original key isn't in the key of C? We're going to take a break there, come back, and I'll show you how to do that. Take a break. Yeah. Okay, welcome back. Now, as I said, what happens if the original key isn't in C? It doesn't matter, because if you look down on the left-hand side on the original key, you can start anywhere, because I've written down 2 octaves worth of chords or notes there. So all you need to do is work out the key it's going to be in. So let's have a look down on the original key, and we're going to look where it says G. Okay, and I'm going to play this little chord set. Okay, and I'm going to play it like this. Just like that. So we're now going to play that in the key of C. So this time on the left hand side where it says G, on the right hand side we're going to match that up with C. Wow, okay, so you can see you can change from any key to any other key just by moving this bit of paper up and down. So instead of playing the first chord was G, what's opposite G? C is, because that's the key we're going to transpose to. Then C becomes F, G becomes C, D7 becomes G7, A minor becomes D minor, D7 becomes G7, and G is back to C again. So let me prove it. So I'll play it the original key. So we have transposed into C. And it's as simple as that. So you can start in any key, finish in any key, just by having the 2 sheets. So I hope you've got something from this, and what's potentially quite a complicated subject is broken down into quite easy bits because I've written everything out for you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'd be happy to answer them. Just one thing before I go. Notes work exactly the same way as chords when it comes to scales. So for example, if I was to play a C here as a note, and I was to play the next one up, which would be C sharp, and then D, E flat, E, F, and so on. If I was to play, instead of a note of C, I was to play a C7, I go up one and it becomes C sharp 7, then D7, yeah, and then E flat 7, E7, F7. So chords run exactly the same way as notes do. So please don't get confused over the 2. So there you go, that's my 10 minutes worth, all about transposing. Hope you've enjoyed it. Stay safe. Until the next one, tra!